What's up guys, Mike here, and yes, this is actually me. I'm actually here. Face cams are back, baby. I say that like it's an exciting thing when really they should have been in every single video. I'm sorry, what happened is that my camera broke and then I got used to not using face cams, and this is a horrible excuse. Let's just move on. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Blake Griffin because, I mean, I've been watching the man all season, but last night, 45 points, 9 threes. I just think it's incredible how much Blake has transformed his game. And so with that said, in today's video, we are going to be looking at how Blake made that transformation. Then we're going to get to the title of this video, because when we look forward to this summer and the craziness that's gonna happen, everyone is talking about the same names: Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving. No one is talking about Blake Griffin though. And really looking at how good Blake has been and looking at the Pistons situation as a team, I do think after doing some research that there is a chance that Blake is going to be moved. And if he is traded to the right team, I think he's the type of player that can take a contender and make them a championship winner. But enough talking for now. I do enough of that in the rest of this video, so enjoy. Here's why Blake Griffin might be the key to dethroning the Golden State Warriors. There was a time when it looked like Blake Griffin had the chance to legitimately take over the NBA. In just his second season at the age of 22, Blake was named as a member of the second team All-NBA. And with a fellow star in Chris Paul igniting what we would instantly call Lob City, it looked like there was no ceiling for Blake's career. Unfortunately though, the Lob City era in Los Angeles never really reached its full potential. And as the years went on, it also seemed like Blake Griffin's career was on a downward spiral. Because just looking at Blake's career so far, the last time he was named a member of any All-NBA team was 4 seasons ago in 2015 when he was just 25. Meanwhile, Blake would spend the 2016, 17, and 18 seasons suffering from countless injuries. But the thing is, again, this is a story of redemption, and I've gotta say, this is a story of me being very happily surprised, because this season for the Detroit Pistons, Blake Griffin has been shockingly good. This year, Blake has currently played in 73 of the Pistons' 79 games, already making this the most games he's played in a single season since 2014. That alone is very impressive, but what's even more impressive to me is the fact that this has been one of the best seasons we have ever seen from Blake, and the stats / impact on his team he's had this season has come through a drastically different approach to basketball when compared to a young Blake. Right now, after his 45-point game last night, the man is averaging 24.9 points per game, the most he has ever averaged in a single season for his entire career. And on top of that, this season Blake is averaging 2.5 threes made per game and has made 186 threes total. That is just 5 less threes made than Blake has made so far in his 8 seasons before this one. It is because of this three-point shooting, it is because of this scoring, and it is because of his high basketball IQ, his passing, his leadership, and his versatility that, in my opinion, makes Blake the most slept-on star in the NBA right now, and a player who could seriously change the fate of a contender almost overnight. The thing is though, like I said before, nobody is really talking about what is going to happen to Blake this offseason, because since he was traded to Detroit, Blake has been an ideal teammate and leader. Every single one of Blake's teammates and coaches has had nothing but great things to say about him. I think these 2 quotes I have right here really say it all, because in an article with The Athletic, Andre Drummond talked about a play against the Atlanta Hawks where the play was originally called for Blake, but, well, let's listen to Andre here as he said, quote, "With that play in Atlanta, to touch on that, I've never had someone do that for me before. It was actually a play for him, and he told Reggie to get out and gave it to me. For him to do that just shows the confidence he has in me. Playing knowing that he has confidence in me allows me to give him confidence too." So as you can see, in Detroit, away from Chris Paul, all, Blake has blossomed into a leader, and he's so good at being a leader that his teammate Andre Drummond, an NBA All-Star, felt the need to shout out Blake for giving him so much confidence. Having a leader like that on your roster is really something that no stat can measure except for one: wins. With that said, let's look at the second quote here. This one comes from Dwayne Casey, Blake's current coach. Casey has said, quote, "Blake's an all-star, he's an all-pro. I didn't know his basketball IQ was as high as it is. Unbelievable. He sees things before it happens." From there, Casey would go on to say, "His mental toughness is like none I've seen. Gary Payton, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki. That type of mental toughness is what Blake Griffin is." And sure, I know this is Blake's coach saying this, but Dwayne Casey has had a ton of NBA experience, and to say Blake's mental toughness is like none I've seen, I mean, you've got to put a lot of stock into those words. Just watching Detroit Pistons games, yes, Blake is a vocal leader like I said, but he's also a complete leader in the way he plays the game. This is a man who has been injured countless times, and that does not matter to him. Despite the fact that he's playing for a fringe playoff team, game in and game out, Blake can be seen diving on the floor, putting his body on the line for his team to have the best chance to win. That's the kind of leader you want on your roster. That's the kind of player you want on a championship caliber team, and that is why I think Blake Griffin might be the key to dethroning the Warriors. Now, I know a lot of you are asking yourselves, why would Blake Griffin be the key to winning an NBA championship? And to answer that question, again, everyone is talking about guys like KD and Kyrie and Anthony Davis, but no one is mentioning Blake when it comes to players who both could realistically be moved and actually have the skill set required to put a contender over the top. Because in my opinion, there are several teams that are almost there who do have the resources to trade for Blake and could very well surprise everyone this summer with a blockbuster deal. Before we talk about those teams though, I do want to talk about the Pistons, because at this point I've made it very clear that everyone in Detroit loves Blake and absolutely does not want him to leave. But the thing is, right now the Detroit Pistons are currently in the worst place you could possibly be as a basketball franchise. They are in NBA limbo, which means they are an average team that doesn't have the cap space to sign a big free agent, doesn't have the assets to trade for a big name player, and is not going to have a high enough draft pick to select one of the players that is seen as a top prospect in this year's draft. Going even further, right now, if we include this season, the Pistons have made the playoffs once in 10 years, which means if Detroit's front office is being realistic, it makes perfect sense for Detroit to look to trade Blake Griffin while his value is at the highest it's been since he was around 24 years old. However, if Detroit really does believe in Blake and really does think he's the type of player they can build a contender around, well, they're going to have to wait until next summer to try and do that, because they simply don't have the cap space to sign a big name this year, and they don't have the assets to trade for one. That is why, for right now, we're going to stick with looking at teams who I think are borderline contenders and should really consider offering the Pistons a deal that they would not be able to refuse. Now, of course, to start off, we have teams like the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks. Two teams who both have the cap space to sign big name free agents and also have the young talent available to trade for someone like Blake. Because sure, while Anthony Davis is going to be available this summer, as we all know, the price to get him is going to be very steep. Meanwhile, Blake Griffin's trade value is drastically lower than that of AD's, which means that a team like the Lakers could make a move for Blake while still retaining some of their young talent. On the other hand, a team like the Knicks could step in, trade away their pick if it falls to like 4 or 5, and combine that pick with the young players they already have on their roster to get Blake. Now, as for the teams that don't have massive amounts of cap space but do already have contending rosters, I think the most interesting / realistic trade destinations for Blake in that category are the Denver Nuggets, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Toronto Raptors. These three teams have the perfect combination of high salaries that are either expiring or would be attractive to the Pistons, and also have young talent on their roster that could make a deal happen. Looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder here, they would have to give up 2 of Dennis Schroeder, Andre Roberson, and Jeremy Grant. Then, when you combine 2 of those 3 players, the Thunder also have Terrence Ferguson and Hamidou Diallo, 2 young guys who the Detroit Pistons could be interested in if they want to rebuild. And if the Thunder were able to get a deal done, they would end up with a starting lineup of Steven Adams, Blake Griffin, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and whoever they didn't trade out of the players I just named. That is a very exciting roster, but I think it's the worst out of the 3 teams that I'm mentioning. With that said, moving on here, I think the second best team on this list would be the Denver Nuggets. Denver would have to give up a package that would include high salary players such as Mason Plumlee and Will Barton, and then Denver could offer Malik Beasley, Monte Morris, Juan Hernan Gomez, and the biggest wild card of all, Michael Porter Jr. That would be a very interesting trade, and the Nuggets would also end up with a very interesting and dominant starting lineup, because if they got Blake, Denver would start Jokic, Blake, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, and one of the players that I just named that ends up not getting traded. Already Denver is the 2nd seed in the West this season. Already they have proven they belong in the NBA's elite, but I think the addition of Blake Griffin would get them to an even higher level. I'm talking NBA champs? Maybe, but finishing this all off, the team that I think would end up with the best overall roster is easily the Toronto Raptors, who definitely would have to trade Serge Ibaka and then would have to offer some kind of package that would involve Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, or Norman Powell. And yes, Pascal Siakam is there and is available to be traded. However, I enjoy my peace. I do not need Toronto Raptors fans rioting in my front yard. So if the Raptors were able to make a deal without Pascal, that would mean they would end up with a starting lineup of Marc Gasol, Blake Griffin, Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, and Kyle Lowry, with Pascal Siakam still coming off the bench. And yes, maybe it's Marc Gasol who comes off the bench, maybe it's Danny Green. That doesn't matter. What matters is that Toronto's 6-man rotation would be insane. There we have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It feels good to be back talking to a camera. I'm not gonna lie. I like this. If you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. Again, videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday here. Tuesday and Thursday around 6 p.m. Eastern, Saturday around 12:30 to 2 p.m. Eastern. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. By the way, if you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are going to love watching. All you have to do is just click on either one of them on the screen right here. And other than that, guys, again, have a great day and peace.